Hey, welcome back. All right, in this video, we're going to talk about, we're going to address theme 2. So the last 2 videos we dealt with theme 1 for the course. What are the trade-offs of employing these technologies? And it's worth me mentioning really quickly that, that we have a tendency, at least in America, but I think as humans, to when a technology is there that's going to potentially make part of our life easier, we tend to adopt it without a ton of reflection. It's worth us thinking about how, with all of these trade-offs, how involved we want to be in this. Just because there are factory farms or herbicides or fertilizers that exist that that we can benefit from, and let's not make a mistake about this, we do benefit from it. We also need to pay attention to the costs and think not just these technologies are part of the world and therefore we have to take part in using them or in benefiting from them, but we can reflect and think, is that a part of the world that we really want to have touch our lives in that way? So that's about trade-offs. In this, which will kind of get us in the same direction, theme 2, how do these technologies change us? Now, they change us in some obvious ways here with regard to our bodies, which I've spent a lot of these last videos talking about. But these are the 3 categories we're going to talk about, the 3 ways in which you and I are different people because of these technologies. So our bodies, our minds, and our relationships to the natural world. Okay, bodies. So it's kind of obvious. These technologies make you and me sicker, more prone to disease, less athletic, more lethargic than we would be without them. Pause. That's a lot. We're compromising our health by adopting these technologies, or in the case of you and me, including the products of these technologies in our lives without reflecting on it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't eat, whatever ultra-processed food that you want to eat. I'm not saying that. It's your choice. It's my choice. But we should reflect on it. And we shouldn't just reflect on the fact that it's going to taste really good, which it will. We should reflect on, what is it going to do to my body, and would I be happier if my body didn't have that done to it? It's worth thinking about. Second, how do these technologies change us with regard to our minds? So we haven't really dealt with this yet, but the foods that come from these technologies, ultra-processed foods, particularly foods that have tons of added sugar, and these sugar you will find added to almost everything, because our brains want it. They are hardwired to want sugar and fat and salt. But it can affect our mood and our ability to focus. So you have lived in this world, in a world that has these foods in it, just as I have. And when you wake up, your experience of whatever you're experiencing, you just kind of take that to be, this is the way I am. But it's not inevitably. It is the way you are based on, as we've talked about already, the amount of sleep that you get and the quality of sleep you get, but also based on the quality of nutrition that you get. It could be that you have a completely different experience of being you based on a different diet. So, for example, the risk of depression is 25% to 35% lower in people who eat a Mediterranean diet or a Japanese diet compared to a traditional, or I shouldn't say traditional, the standard American diet right now. In other words, those diets that have way more vegetables, way less ultra-processed food, it affects your depression, the rate or the likelihood of you being depressed. That's a lot. And it's not something that we think about when we go grab whatever ultra processed food we grab. There's not a warning that says this may lead to an increased likelihood of depression for you. But it does. It does. And so it's worth us reflecting on that. That's it. We're already 2/3 of the way through. Last, our relationship to the natural world. So this is going to be uncomfortable, but it bears saying. In this world, with these technologies, this world that is run by in which our food is provided to us not by our own labor, but by us trading money to a capitalist corporation for food. In that world, food doesn't come from nature. It comes from the supermarket. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm some homesteader who grows all my own food. Like everything I eat comes from a supermarket. But I do have to deal with the fact that even though meat comes to me wrapped in that little plastic wrap, meat is death. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, we evolved to eat meat. That's fine. But we also shouldn't be cavalier and look away from the fact that we should be okay with the fact that an animal died for us to eat. You should make peace with that whatever way you want to make peace with it. But it is the case, and that's hidden from us based on the technological world that we live in. The plant food, for you vegetarians or vegans, the plant food that you eat, it means that there was, for the most part, ecological damage from artificial chemicals, health damage to the workers who had to work and pick the vegetables or fruits that were exposed to those fertilizers or those chemicals, or those fertilizers or those pesticides or those herbicides that have those artificial chemicals. None of which is to say that these are the wrong choices. They are to say that they are choices, and they're choices that we're not aware of most of the time. Most people go to the supermarket, grab food, and they're thinking, I'm choosing between cheaper or more expensive, or healthier or less healthy. But these technologies, to the extent that they remove these questions for us, it doesn't mean that those things aren't still happening. I would argue that if you want to be aware of the fact that this is what these technologies are doing to us. They are removing the need for us to think about our bodies or our minds or the relationship to the natural world. At least our bodies with regard to the serious consequences of this stuff. I know, I don't think you're under the illusion that eating Cap'n Crunch is not like a healthy thing to do, but really what the consequences are in terms of disease and poorer health outcomes. Okay, that's it for theme 2. It's a pain, sorry about that, but it's what we need to do, because a fulfilling life doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by you just taking, or me, just taking what's presented to us as normal and saying, okay, well, then I'm going to go live within that normalcy. That normalcy involves these outcomes, and you want to think about, is that something that you are comfortable with, and to what extent are you comfortable with it? Again, I'm not telling you what choices you should make. I'm telling you a fulfilling life involves some introspection. Okay, that's it for this video. Next video, we will deal with, even if you don't adopt a technology, it still affects you, which is just a bummer, but it's true. I'll see you then.